Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'm Mohammed Sijelmassi. I'm the CTO of Sopra Steria, and for this session, I'll be supported and accompanied by my friend Julien Caroni, who is in the Prime Minister office in charge of a large program that he will say a word about it, and Yves Nicolas, who is working on platforms at Sopra Steria. What do we want to tell you today? The idea today is to share with you our belief regarding what would be the main pillar for democratizing AI. And we will come to a kind of conclusion which is more or less to say, first is trust and second is industrialization. Well, if you want to start at a certain point, what we can just, all of us, see is that today there is no day where we don't find someone explaining that his system is AI compatible. Any new program that you will find will be or probably be based on AI. Things that have been changed in the last, let's say, 3 to 4 years, because we see more and more AI moving from large companies, academics, to even small companies. So it becomes mainstream. It becomes mainstream at the point where a recent study, I guess that I read it yesterday or so, is just saying that we will spend like 300 billion euros in the next 5 years in AI related programs. Well, when we said that, we might question ourselves why, if COVID will do something, if COVID will impact those investments. What we see today is that instead of reducing those investments, it will probably increase them. Why? Because this crisis will lead us to have more need for operational efficiency, risk management, supply chain resilience. So all of this, we believe that will increase the need for AI. Nice, I would say, tableau in French. However, when it comes to what is really happening, when we go beyond some emblematic project, some emblematic announcements that have been made in the last years, what we see today is that only half of the AI project made it to the production phase. Means that we are doing a lot of proof of concept, proof of value, but going to the production phase, it's only half of the project. We may ask ourselves why this. The reason that we found is, I would say, three. First, it is very difficult and to define KPIs to measure the success. How do we measure that this AI system is better than our traditional solution? Second is that confidence and trustworthiness is a key lever for adoption. And this is something that we need to answer at. And finally, we need to move from this proof of value, proof of concept, to industrialization. Those are the 2 points that I will address with my colleagues in the coming minutes. Let's say a word about confidence and trustworthiness. We were used, of all of us, were used to some deterministic approach where checking that a solution is reliable, that we can prove it, was, let's say, quite easy. Today, when it comes to some AI-related solution, certifying, securing, finding or proving the reliability of an AI system is a bit difficult. So we need to find solution in this. Actually, if we want to ensure that AI is reliable, explainable, ethical, and remains so over time, which will bring us to the industrialization topic, is a bit difficult. And we know that it's, unless we find some tools, unless we reach correct level of confidence, the adoption will be limited. And the more critical the system are, the more confidence is needed. Just to give you an example, if you want a pilot to use an AI system base to do a takeoff, you have to prove it to him. If you want, let's say, a trader, do the same, do an investment based on AI recommendation, you'll have to prove it. And finally, even for a doctor, so an automated diagnosis, we'll have to prove it. So one of the main concerns that we would like to share with you is the need for this confidence, trustworthiness. And adoption will be highly related to this. My last point will be on industrialization. We would like to make AI as a major part of our system, as a major component. We would like to move it from a team dedicated to AI, dedicated to machine learning, data science, or whatever, to make it simple, to something that is completely embedded in our systems. Should these systems be critical, or should they be, I would say, just management system, supply chain system? The point here is, how do we ensure that we can monitor this, we can monitor the validity over the time, and we are able to provide to all the team tools to do so. In the last couple of years, 3 or 4, we have launched at Sopra Steria a strong initiative around platforms and how we use platforms in order to make or to provide our teams, our customer, a couple of tools. And for this, I will hand over to my friend Yves, who is in charge of this.
Thank you, Mohammed. So the platform and the set of tools that Mohammed was mentioning is really what will enable us to move from the proof of concept type of AI, the proof of value, to the real life AI, to have the AI embedded in every systems. And when you are a big integration company like we are at Sopra Steria, this means that we need to move from a situation where we have maybe a few hundreds of highly trained, very high-brained data scientists and AI specialists that are working on this kind of projects. So from a few hundreds to a few thousands, maybe a few tens of thousands of general purpose engineers and developers that will have to do some kind of AI and include them in legacy or general purpose IS systems. And to do so, we have designed our platform that we called Inner Data internally at Sopra Steria, with 3 objectives in mind. The first one is we want to make sure that everybody in the company can have, in a simple way, with a very simple way of access to an AI and data science environment. Second thing, we want this platform to be able to serve as a basis of discussing and working directly with our customers on their own projects and their environments. And third objective is there are lots of AI-related assets that are developed in the different geographies and verticals of the group. We want this platform to be able to serve as a kind of marketplace on these subjects. So with this in mind, and when you want to do that, so we have as Mohammed was mentioning, we are working since a few years on, we are calling that the digital enablement platform in Sopra Steria, which is really the cornerstone of all our industrialization mechanism around DevOps. And so obviously, because we are talking about industrializing AI, we have used the same kind of things to build this AI-related platform. And we have based it on the 2 main pillars of this digital enablement platform. The first one being a GitLab-powered full DevSecOps automation chain, and the second one being a Kubernetes OpenShift-based container as a service environment. And what Inner Data is really, we have used an open source project called Open Data Hub, which is really an assembly of several well-known open source packages in the field of data science of AI, and enable them to run as packages in the container as a service environment. And with that, you can have the full life cycle of a project where data scientists can work on their data, using Spark, using Jupyter environments, training, working on that. And then you can expose that in an industrial environment using things like Selden and alike. And what we when you want to do that in a real, when you tackle with real industrialization of AI, you need to realize that you have to reconcile two very different worlds. You have to reconcile the world of the the data scientists and the AI specialists who are able to work in their data environment. They can do whatever they want with their data. They want to they want to train. They want to have the latest technology. They are working with things like Spark, Python, R, TensorFlow, moving from GPT-2 to GPT-3, all the latest model. That's the world of the data scientist and AI specialist. And then you have the world of the real life IS operations environment. We are dealing with a strong set of non-functional requirements, a very strong set of rules. They want to make sure you cannot necessarily use any kind of language. You want to make sure that every component you put in the system has its own version, is traceable, is tested around the right things. And those two worlds, often they are incompatible in some way. And what we have been proving using using this set of principles and the same mechanism that we are putting together inside our data environment and our digital enablement platform, is that we have been able to take in real concrete life customer examples. We've been able to take a software and a model which was trained in a pure data science and data lab environment, and be able to move this environment using a full DevSecOps automation chain, be able to move that into an IS full operations environment, traditional IS operations, and at the same time meet the very strong non-functional requirements rule of this environment without changing anything in the way that the data scientists had trained the model and be able to produce them. And this is exactly, so we are just beginning to do that on a few customer examples, but this is exactly the kind of challenges we see as we need to address to go from this, once again, this proof of concept kind of AI environments toward the real life and the place where we are going to move, as Sundar Pichai was saying in a few years ago, I guess, toward an AI-first environment. Thank you, Mohammed.
Well, thanks, Yves. And so Yves said a lot of things about industrialization, and as you might have seen on the slide, there is a last point around marketplace providing, I would say, confidence and helping to build confidence. And for this, I will let my friend Julien have some words about his program.
So first of all, I would like to thank Mohammed and Sopra Steria to host me today to speak about the great challenge on AI, trustworthiness, and certification. So first of all, what is a great challenge? It's a new program from the Conseil de l'Innovation, which is dedicated to tackle some big societal, economical, and technological challenge. And one of these big societal, economical, and technological challenge is, of course, AI, trustworthiness, and certification. It's one of the 5 program launched since 1 year, and it was launched following the Villani report and AI for Humanities. So as already mentioned, trustworthiness is really key for industrialization and confidence, and it's really important in order to implement AI technology, especially for safety critical system, such as autonomous driving or I don't know, energy, industry 4.0, etc. And the program is really dedicated to face this challenge and to manage to develop some new technology in order to increase competitiveness of French industry. So we have in this program 3 pillars, which is one dedicated to new technology, one which is more dedicated to evaluation and certification. So it means that we are facing a specific challenge and we are facing the question of evaluation before going to the market. And the last one is on standardization, but maybe I will give you some few words about the first pillar, which is on technological challenge. So the goal is really to develop some new tools and methodology in order to provide some answer from the beginning and to the end of the building chain in order to prove data qualification, data trustworthiness, etc., in order to show that along the process we are able to implement trustworthiness inside the system. And what is really important is that we are facing a huge competition in this area, and so the goal is really to have a wide ecosystem, really strongly connected to industry, in order to address all the challenge, but also to address several vertical business in order to have several use cases. And I guess that this point is really important because we are facing a competition, an international competition, and it's really important to face together to this competition with industry, but also with academic research. And so the goal is really to implement all the stack of technology in order to provide some answer to the question of trustworthiness, because this is really a showstopper in order to industrialize and provide AI inside the product and the system, especially critical system. So we are in a phase of building of the program actually, but we will make soon some announcement and some new launch of program, and it's really something that we want to push forward in order to support the French industry competitiveness.
Thank you, Julien. And I was very pleased to have Julien today because he teases for us his next announce. So thank you, Julien. Just to conclude, the takeaway that we would like you to have at the end of this session, first, that is, if we want adoption, if we want to democratize AI, we need mainly two pillars: how to industrialize and how to get trust. That's the first point. The second point, we have, I would say, a tremendous chance to live in a country and to live in the continent, Europe, where we have the academics, we have the startups, we have the large company. And as a French citizen and also as a European citizen, I think that we have a unique opportunity to push for gaining sovereignty and having solution where we can face the competition. Thank you for attending. And that's all for us.
Thank you so much.